Poor girl missed exam to save a Hell's Angel biker. Next day, 100 Hell's Angels arrived at her door. 17-year-old Maya Chun had one shot. Just one. The nursing school entrance exam cost $400 she'd saved for 8 months, working overnight shifts at the convenience store while maintaining straight A's. Missed this exam and her dream of becoming a nurse, of lifting her immigrant family out of poverty. Died with it. She was 10 minutes from the testing center when she saw him. A biker, motorcycle on its side, bleeding from his leg, trying to wave down cars on the empty highway. Every car passed him. Every single one. Maya had 7 minutes to make her exam. 7 minutes to choose between her future and a stranger's life. She chose the stranger. Missed the exam. Lost her $400. Ruined her only chance. The biker, a man called Reaper from the Death Valley Hells Angels, lived because Maya stopped. 24 hours later, 100 motorcycles appeared outside Maya's apartment building. What they brought wasn't just money. What they brought was something money couldn't buy, and it proved that sometimes when you sacrifice everything for someone else, the universe has a way of paying you back 1,000 times over. Maya Chun woke up at 4:47 a.m. on Saturday, November 14th, 13 minutes before her alarm was set to go off. She'd been awake most of the night anyway, too nervous to sleep, too aware that today would determine the entire trajectory of her life. The nursing school entrance exam. 3 years of preparation condensed into 4 hours of testing. One chance. She got out of bed quietly, careful not to wake her younger brother Wei, who slept on the other side of the room divider in their studio apartment. Their mother was already gone. First shift at the garment factory started at 4 a.m., and their father wouldn't be home from his restaurant job until after 11. Maya's family had come to the United States from China when she was 9. 8 years later, they still lived in the same cramped apartment in the rough part of San Bernardino, still worked crushing hours for minimum wage, still spoke English with heavy accents that made some people treat them like they were stupid instead of just foreign. But Maya was going to change that. She was going to become a nurse, get a real job with benefits and stability, help her parents retire before they worked themselves to death. She was going to prove that their sacrifice, leaving everything they knew to give their children better opportunities, had been worth it. The nursing school entrance exam was the gateway. Pass it, and she'd qualify for California State's accelerated nursing program. Fail it or miss it, and she'd have to wait another year to retake it. Another year of watching her mother's hands develop arthritis from factory work. Another year of seeing her father come home smelling like cooking oil and exhaustion. Maya had paid $400 for this exam, money she'd earned working graveyard shifts at the 7-Eleven on Colorado Avenue, for nights a week for 8 months while maintaining a 4.0 GPA at her high school. For $100 that represented hundreds of hours standing behind a register, dealing with drunk customers and would-be robbers, studying medical terminology textbooks during slow periods at 2 a.m. Non-refundable. One time only. Miss it and the money was gone. She ate a breakfast of instant oatmeal while reviewing her notes one final time. The exam started at 8 a.m. at a testing center in Riverside, about 45 minutes away. Maya had meticulously planned her route, accounting for traffic, parking, and time to find the correct room. She was leaving at 6:45 to arrive by 7:30, giving herself a full 30 minutes of buffer time. At 6:43, Maya grabbed her backpack containing her admission ticket, 3 number 2 pencils, her ID, and a bottle of water. She kissed Wei's forehead. He was still asleep, would wake up at 8 to get himself ready for his weekend math tutoring, and left the apartment. Her car was a 1998 Honda Civic with 237,000 miles, temperamental air conditioning, and a passenger door that only opened from the outside. But it ran, which was all that mattered. Maya had bought it herself for $1,200 2 years ago, and she maintained it meticulously because she couldn't afford repairs. She pulled out of the apartment complex at exactly 6:47, right on schedule, and headed toward the highway entrance. Traffic was light this early on Saturday morning, mostly trucks and early shift workers. Maya turned on the classical music station that helped her focus, took deep breaths to manage her anxiety, and visualized success. At 7:23, she was making excellent time. The highway was clear, the Civic was running smoothly, and she'd arrive with 37 minutes to spare. Maya let herself believe, just for a moment, that everything was going to work out. That's when she saw him. A motorcycle was down on the shoulder of the highway, and next to it was a man. Clearly a biker based on his leather vest. Sitting on the ground, one leg extended at a wrong angle, blood soaking through his jeans. He was waving his arm weakly at passing cars, trying to signal for help. Cars passed him. SUVs, trucks, sedans, everyone just kept driving, either not noticing or not caring about the man bleeding on the highway shoulder. Maya's first instinct was to keep driving too. She was already passing him, already 50 feet beyond, and she had an exam that would determine her entire future starting in 37 minutes. But something made her look in her rearview mirror, made her see the man, really see him, slumped against the guardrail, his arm still raised in a gesture that was more hope than expectation, blood pooling under his leg. Maya's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. Good people help, always help. That's what separates humans from animals, we help. The testing center was 18 miles away. She had 37 minutes. If she stopped, if she helped, if she called 911 and waited with him, she'd miss her exam. She'd lose $400. She'd lose her chance. Maya's foot moved toward the brake before her brain fully made the decision. The Civic slowed, pulled onto the shoulder, and came to a stop about 20 feet past the downed motorcycle. She put on her hazard lights, grabbed the first aid kit she kept in her glove compartment, a habit from her CPR certification class, and ran back toward the injured biker. Up close, he looked worse. Late 40s, maybe, with a gray-streaked beard and a face contorted in pain. His leather vest had patches, Hell's Angels, Death Valley chapter, a name rocker that read Reaper. His left leg was clearly broken, bone visible through the torn jeans, and he'd lost enough blood that his skin had a grayish tinge. Sir, can you hear me? I'm Maya. I'm CPR certified. What happened? The biker's eyes focused on her with effort. Dear, came out of nowhere. Bike went down. Think my legs broke. Been here 20 minutes. Nobody stops. His voice was weak, speech slurred in a way that suggested shock. Maya pulled out her phone and dialed 911. While it rang, she assessed his injuries with the systematic approach she'd learned in her medical training classes. Broken leg, definitely. Possible internal bleeding given the mechanism of injury. Signs of shock. Pale skin. Rapid shallow breathing. Confusion. 911. What's your emergency? I'm on Highway 60 eastbound. About mile marker 47. There's been a motorcycle accident, single vehicle. Male in his 40s with obvious femur fracture, significant blood loss showing signs of shock. He needs immediate transport. The dispatcher took her information, confirmed the location, and told her paramedics would arrive in approximately 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Maya looked at her phone. 7:27 a.m. Her exam started at 8 a.m. She needed to be checked in by 7:50 at the absolute latest. She couldn't make it. Even if she left right now, abandoned this bleeding stranger on the highway shoulder, she wouldn't make it. The choice was already made. Had been made the moment she hit the brakes. Maya wasn't leaving. She pulled the gauze and compression bandages from her first aid kit and began treating the biker's leg wound. Sir, can I call you Reaper or do you have another name? Reaper's fine. Okay, Reaper. I'm going to try to slow this bleeding. This is going to hurt. She worked efficiently, using techniques from her first aid training, applying pressure and bandaging while trying to keep him talking to prevent him from passing out. She asked about his club, his bike, anything to keep him conscious. You know, about bikes? Reaper asked, his words coming slower. Not much. My dad had a scooter in China before we came here. That's about it. China? You're Chinese. Yeah. Family came here when I was 9. My wife was Chinese. Guangzhou. Passed away 3 years ago. I'm so sorry. She would have liked you. You stopped. Everyone else. He gestured weakly at the passing traffic. Nobody stops for bikers. Think we're criminals. You're a person who needs help, Maya said simply. That's all that matters. They talked, Maya keeping him alert and oriented while monitoring his vital signs as best she could with limited equipment. She learned he was James Chun, no relation, just coincidence, 53 years old, had been riding back from a memorial service for a fallen club member when the deer had appeared. She told him about her nursing school ambitions, carefully not mentioning the exam she was missing at this exact moment. The ambulance arrived at 7:43 a.m. Paramedics took over, praised Maya for her treatment, and asked if she was medical personnel. Not yet, Maya said. Hopefully soon. You've got good instincts, one paramedic said. You probably saved his life. That femoral artery was nicked. Another 30 minutes of bleeding and he might not have made it. They loaded Reaper into the ambulance. Before they closed the doors, he grabbed Maya's hand with surprising strength. What's your full name? Maya Chun. Maya Chun. I won't forget. The ambulance pulled away, lights and sirens fading into the distance. Maya stood on the highway shoulder, covered in someone else's blood, and checked her phone. 7:51 a.m. Her exam had started. She'd missed check-in. Even if she drove there right now, they wouldn't let her take it. The rules were explicit. Late arrivals were not accommodated under any circumstances. Maya sat down on the guardrail where Reaper had been sitting 25 minutes ago, and she cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears of grief for a dream that had just died, for 8 months of overnight shifts that had been for nothing, for $400 she'd never get back, for another year of watching her parents destroy their bodies with labor. She'd made the right choice. She knew that. You don't let someone bleed to death on the highway because you have a test. But knowing it was right didn't make it hurt less. Eventually, Maya drove home. She didn't tell her mother what happened. Didn't want to add guilt to everything else her mother carried. Just said she hadn't felt well and hadn't taken the exam, that she'd try again next year. Her mother looked at her with knowing eyes. Somehow mothers always knew, but didn't push. Just hugged her and told her there would be other chances. That night, Maya worked her shift at the 7-Eleven, standing behind the register from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., already calculating how long it would take to save another $400, already mourning the year she'd lost. She got home Sunday morning at 7:30, exhausted and defeated, and found her mother waiting for her with a strange expression. Maya, there are people outside. Many people. They say they're looking for you. What? What people? Maya went to the window and looked down at the street below their third-floor apartment. Motorcycles. Dozens of them. Maybe 100. Lined up along both sides of the street, filling the apartment complex parking lot, extending around the corner. And standing among them were bikers. Men and women in leather vests, all bearing the same patches Reaper had worn. Hell's Angels. 100 of them. Outside her building. Maya's first thought was terror. Had she done something wrong? Was Reaper dead and they blamed her? Her mother grabbed her arm. Maya, what did you do? Yesterday morning, I stopped to help an injured biker on the highway. That's why I missed my exam. He was hurt badly and nobody else would stop. There was a knock on the apartment door. Loud, authoritative, impossible to ignore. Maya's father had already answered it, and she heard deep voices speaking respectfully. Maya walked to the door. Standing in the hallway were 3 bikers, 2 men and a woman, all looking impossibly large and intimidating in the narrow space. The woman spoke first. Maya Chun. Yes. I'm Steele, president of the Death Valley Hells Angels. These are my brothers, Hawk and Gunner. We need to talk to you about what you did yesterday. Maya's heart was pounding. Is Reaper okay? I did everything I could. Reaper is fine, Steele said, her stern expression softening slightly. Surgery went well. He'll make a full recovery. Because of you. The doctor said if he'd been there another 30 minutes, he would have died from blood loss. You saved his life. The knot of anxiety in Maya's chest loosened slightly. I'm glad he's okay. Can we come in? Steele asked. We have some things we need to discuss with you. Maya's parents looked terrified but nodded, and the 3 bikers entered their tiny apartment. They seemed even larger inside, their leather and patches and tattoos completely out of place among the modest furniture and Chinese decorations. Steele sat down carefully on their small couch, which creaked under her weight, and looked at Maya seriously. Reaper told us what happened. How you stopped when nobody else would. How you treated his injuries. How you stayed with him, kept him conscious, probably saved his life. She paused. He also told us you missed something important because you stopped. Something about a nursing exam? Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. Tell us about that. So Maya told them. About the nursing program, about the 8 months of saving $400, about the exam being non-refundable and once a year, about losing her chance for another 12 months. When she finished, Steele and the other 2 bikers exchanged looks. How much did the exam cost? Steele asked. $400. But it's not about the money. I can save that again eventually. It's the lost year. The program only admits once a year, and I needed to take the exam yesterday to qualify for next fall's admission. Hawk spoke up. What if we could get you into a different nursing program? One that admits multiple times a year. I can't afford private programs, Maya said. State school is all I can manage even with financial aid. Let me make a call, Steele said. She pulled out her phone and stepped into the kitchen. Maya sat there confused, wondering what was happening. Through the thin walls, she could hear Steele speaking. Yeah, it's about what we discussed. The girl who saved Reaper. I'm looking at her right now. You can? How soon? That's perfect. Thanks. Document. Steele came back into the room. Maya, we have a member in our club. His road name is Doc because he actually is a doctor. He works at St. Mary's Hospital and teaches in their nursing program. He can get you an interview for their accelerated program that starts in January. 4 months from now instead of 12. I can't afford St. Mary's, Maya protested. That's a private hospital. The tuition is being paid, Steele interrupted. Full scholarship. For years. Books, tuition, fees, everything. Maya's mouth fell open. What? Gunnar explained. The club has a charitable fund. We use it for things that matter to us. Supporting families of fallen members, helping communities we're part of, and repaying debts we owe. You saved Reaper's life. You sacrificed your future to do it. That's the kind of character we respect and protect. Consider it a scholarship for character. I can't accept. That's too much. You can and you will, Steele said firmly. We've already set it up. Doc will call you tomorrow to schedule your interview, but that's a formality. You're in. You start in January. Maya started crying. Her mother was crying. Her father stood there looking stunned and overwhelmed. But Steele wasn't done. There's more. We know you work at a 7-Eleven on Colorado, right? Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. You're going to quit. Today. We've talked to the club members who own businesses in the area. You've got 3 job offers, one at an auto shop doing books, one at a restaurant, one at a legal office. All of them pay $15 an hour instead of minimum wage, all during day shifts so you can study, and all of them will work around your school schedule once you start the nursing program. Why are you doing this? Maya whispered. I just did what anyone should do. That's exactly the point, Steele said. You did what anyone should do, but almost nobody does do. Reaper waved at 30 cars before you stopped. 30. Everyone else decided their day was more important than his life. You decided differently. You sacrificed everything. Your exam, your money, your dream, for a stranger. That deserves to be rewarded. Hawk added, plus you're Chinese. So was Reaper's wife. He's got a soft spot for that. Thinks she sent you to him or something. Man's been crying in his hospital bed about it. Steele shot him a look that said, shut up, but smiled slightly. The point is, we take care of people who take care of our brothers. You're part of the family now. You need something, you call. You have problems, we handle them. That's how it works. Maya couldn't stop crying. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. Wait here, Steele said. She went to the door and called down the hallway. Within minutes, the tiny apartment was filled with bikers. 20 or 30 of them, crowding into the space, overwhelming it with leather and muscle and tattoo ink and an overwhelming sense of protective solidarity. Reaper was on someone's phone, calling from the hospital. "Maya? That you?" "I'm here," Maya managed. "I heard you missed your exam because of me. I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. I'd do it again." "I know you would. That's why we're doing this." "Thank you for my life, Maya. I won't ever forget that you stopped." That afternoon was surreal. The bikers stayed for hours, talking with Maya's parents, explaining what they were offering, making sure the family understood this wasn't charity but honor, repaying a debt. They brought food, so much food, from the Chinese restaurant down the street, enough to feed everyone and then some. Neighbors came out to see what was happening. The sight of 100 Hell's Angels outside the building had everyone curious and nervous. But the bikers were respectful, friendly even, explaining to anyone who asked that they were there to honor someone who'd saved their brother's life. By evening, when they finally left, Maya had a full scholarship to St. Mary's Nursing Program 3 job offers at triple her current wages, 100 new uncles and aunts who'd made it clear they considered her family an invitation to visit Reaper in the hospital the next day, and a leather vest, sized for her small frame, with a patch that read, "Honorary Member" and "MAYA Lifesaver." The story spread fast. Local news picked it up, then regional. Within a week, it had gone viral. The story of the teenage girl who missed her nursing exam to save a biker's life, and the 100 Hell's Angels who showed up to make sure her sacrifice wasn't in vain. Maya gave interviews, always redirecting attention away from herself and toward the importance of stopping to help people. "I wasn't being heroic," she'd say. "I was being human. We should all stop when someone needs help. That should be normal, not extraordinary." The interviewer on Good Morning America asked, "But you gave up your dream to help a stranger. That's not nothing." "I didn't give it up," Maya corrected. "I delayed it. And I got it back because good people refused to let my sacrifice be for nothing." That's the real story, not one girl stopping, but 100 people making sure stopping was rewarded. That's what we should focus on. Building a world where doing the right thing doesn't cost you everything. For months later, Maya started the nursing program at St. Mary's. She excelled, as everyone knew she would. She worked part-time at the legal office, made enough to help her parents and save for the future, and studied with the kind of dedication that came from knowing how lucky she was to be there. Reaper recovered fully. He and Maya became close. He treated her like the daughter he'd never had. She treated him like a beloved uncle. He attended her graduation 4 years later, wearing his full colors and crying openly when she crossed the stage to receive her nursing degree. By then, Maya was already legendary in the Hell's Angels community. The girl who'd stopped, the girl they'd saved in return, the girl who proved that sometimes the universe rewards goodness, but only when good people make sure of it. 10 years after that highway stop, Maya was the head nurse in St. Mary's emergency department, saving lives every day. She never forgot the lesson. Stop when someone needs help. Your life can wait 5 minutes. Theirs might not be able to. And every year on the anniversary of the day she stopped for Reaper, 100 motorcycles showed up at the hospital where Maya worked. The annual Death Valley Hell's Angels Blood Drive and Health Fair, organized by Maya and hosted at the hospital where she'd received her scholarship. Hundreds of pints of blood donated. Thousands of people receiving free health screenings. All because one girl stopped when no one else would, and 100 bikers made sure her kindness was rewarded. That's the power of choosing right over convenient. That's what happens when good people support good people. That's how one sacrifice creates ripples that save thousands of lives. Maya stopped for one person. That person's family stopped the world to make sure she didn't regret it. And together, they created something beautiful. Subscribe to my channel for more incredible tales of sacrifice, honor, and humanity at its best. Motorcycle, Red Heart. Share if you believe kindness should be rewarded, that sacrifice matters, and that sometimes missing your exam is the most important test you'll ever pass.